What's up guys and welcome back. Today I'll be making a track inspired by deadmau5. I'll be taking inspiration from his older tracks that I really like, such as Strobe and The Veld, and I'll also be putting my own little spin on things. If you want the project file and the stems of this track I'll be making today, so you can take inspiration from it and use certain things in your own tracks, as well as a ton of other production resources like monthly samples, then click the link in the description. Without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is just load up the stock wavetable synth in Bitwig, turn the BPM to 124. I'm going to make a chord progression and then I'll sound design afterwards. This is a pretty cool progression. I'll play that in. So I played this in and then actually quantized it. Has some really nice dissonances and it makes it a really emotional progression. But I'm going to copy the progression over and then have some variation in this last part here. So I've just changed the last 5 of the chord hits over here to make it a bit more happy and on a major note instead of a bit more mysterious tone. So the ending over here sounds like this. Versus. It's a pretty cool progression. I can just loop it like that. But let's make a deadmau5 pluck. Let's go with the sawtooth wave. Turn down the sub oscillator. But turn up the modulation coming from the sub to the saw. Turn up the noise as well. I'm going to turn up the cutoff modulation coming from the envelope here to make it more plucky. Let's process it. Add a delay to that. I want to mess with some weird processing, so I'm going to try some spectral stuff. This is the harmonic split in Bitwig. It splits the bands into different harmonies. We got the odds, the evens, and the nons. I'll process these evens individually just to try and see if that's going to make a cool sound. Let's try with an amp. Turn up the cabinet mix so we get a nice sound. Nice and crunchy. So without it. And with it. Just makes it sound a little bit weird, a little electronic. I kind of like it. Then we got a vintage verb. I'm going to go through my atmosphere pack and try to find something that's going to set a nice mood. It's in a different key, so I'll just make it fit. Shorten that up, make it longer. Let's turn down this harmonic split stuff though, it's a bit too much. You know what, I'm also going to try putting some convolution on the evens. This is just experimentation, trying to make some cool sound design. This is sounding so weird, but so cool. Let's open up the filter so we can have it even more closed in the beginning and open it up like that. And let's just cut this out because I think I'll have like a drop section here or something after that. And we can also disable the reverb in the point right before the drop so we have like a little bit of transition. So I put in EQ to cut out a lot of harsh frequencies at around 3000 Hertz, and that's only on the chain where these evens harmonics are. And I'll put some granular effects on that too. We'll do some portal. I can't lie, that is nuts. Also gonna disable the harmonic split, everything, that whole chain in the last section there before the drop. Otherwise the feedback is just gonna mess with the track, I think. That is smooth. Let's get a little bass in. Just got a very similar sound to the chord up. Just a saw sound with some noise and a filter. And I'll copy over the progression and just use the bass notes. I think it's time for a kick. I think we need something punchy in this style. I need a bit of extra tech on that, so I'll add a transient controller and just boost the transients. Yeah, but I do need sidechain on this. Everything is distorting. Gonna add another like lead atmospheric melody on top. I'm gonna use an FM4 for that and just make a melody. Let's actually make this interesting to listen to though. Right now we're turning the FM modulation up, going from the other oscillators to oscillator 1. We've only got oscillator 1 actually enabled with the level, but I think I'll introduce some of the other oscillators too. So let's turn up oscillator 2 too, and then turn up the modulation going from oscillator 1 to oscillator 2 as well. And then I'll turn up oscillator 3 as well, and then turn up the modulation going from oscillator 4 to oscillator 3. Oh. Turn down the decay, turn up the sustain and the release. Some Valhalla vintage verb. It sounds cool, but I need a filter on the sound. There's too many harsh highs. We'll copy over the chord, but I think this time I'll just delete the automation, turn up the cutoff. I'll make it more plucky. I could also introduce some width in the drop. I think that could sound cool to the chord. Not through that, but with a shred spread maybe. Gonna get a vital preset up for my bass. So I've just got one of my presets. And we're just gonna copy over the bass notes. Put a funny little EQ on that. A compressor to really flatten the sound. And a bark of dog to boost that low end even further and make it warmer. Let's add a main RP lead though, something kind of similar to strobe. So I've got a preset of mine up, it's literally called deadmau5. Just a basic saw wave with a filter and an envelope, some compression, delay, distortion, and flanging. I think I'm just going to make an ARP out of the root note in the chord progression and then the third above that, so... We need some more drums in the drop. We can add a little reverse as well, and then fade it in. Let's add some white noise. Some open hats. Some hats with a 16th note rhythm. Need to clip and compress these drums. Before this crazy processing, the track sounds like this. And after, clipping and compression is a crazy technique to make your drums really tight. If you want a little tutorial on that, it's in the top right. I want like a pad sound for the last section, a little outro. So I use a diva to make like a warm pad, and then I've cut out the plucky chords in the last part. We can copy over the progression actually, and then just make them sustained. You know what, I'm actually going to shorten this track up and remove the kick from the intro, like totally. Cut that bass as well. Guys, that's it for this production. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something as well. Let me know if you did in the comments down below too. Remember, resources for producers are in the description, but I'll play the track through and that'll be the end of the video.